Have you spent so much energy and effort in being nice and polite that you wonder if anyone even knows the real you? Is it hard for you to be honest with people because you're too worried about how they're going to react or receive it? Is it even godly to be nice? If these resonate with you, or if you have ever wondered these things, then I'm willing to bet that you are probably exhausted from trying to keep up appearances and just wish that you could be yourself, that you could be real. But it's pretty scary, isn't it? Hey everyone, welcome back to the Cassie Lou podcast. If we haven't met yet, I'm Cassie Long, and this is a place where we will tackle the real life stuff, look at practical ways to heal from our past, balance and be in the present, and train our thought processes and habits to be able to change things in our lives and keep moving forward. Before we dive into what we're talking about today, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me. Get your email in there. It really does help me out a lot. And honestly, you don't want to miss the things that we're going to be talking about here, and hopefully, eventually, the people we will be talking to. So go ahead and get that in there for me. Now, before we get started, kind of a reference to my last podcast, there have been a few questions about my sign-off where I say, "See you in ink." So that actually came from when I went back to college as an adult learner online at Troy University. And for 2 years, I was the editor-in-chief of the Rubicon, which is Troy's literary journal that they produce each and every year. So while I was there and I was editor, I needed to come up with something to sign off on letters and things in print that had my name on it. And I wanted something a little bit unique, but something that also resonated with me. So one of the reasons that I love to write, and honestly to edit too, is to be able to leave something behind, to leave a part of me or my thoughts or my heart with people for generations. Even if it only echoes with a few people, it's something that's left behind. And there was also a little bit of a throwback to the golden age, the big screen cinema, or see you at the movies and things like that. And so I just came up with See You in Ink, and I started using it, and it kind of took off with the Rubicon. I think they still use it actually, which I love so much. So shout out to my Rubicon people out there. You're doing a good job. So that's where that phrase came from, See You in Ink. Essentially, it's if I'm not going to see you in person, if I'm not going to see you on screen, then if anything, you will see me in my writing, you will see me in the things that I help edit and publish, and a piece of me will be there with you in ink. Now, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. Remember that? It's a really good preschool teaching for the little ones. They usually say the first thing that pops into their head anyway, and it's definitely not always nice or polite. Seriously, side note, if you ever want brutal honesty, ask a kid what they think. Just be prepared if you don't really want to hear the answer. I do not recommend asking a child if they like what you're wearing or if they like the food that you cooked. But regardless, if you want a good, honest answer, ask a child. So we teach them if you don't say anything nice, or if you can't say anything nice, just don't say anything at all. It's a good rule of thumb. As an adult, it's a good thing, too, to have a filter of respect and decorum when you're doing different things in different situations. You probably shouldn't let yourself loose at work the same way you would at home, so a filter is a good thing. Just because something pops into your head doesn't mean that it needs to be said, and just because you feel it doesn't make it right. Maybe someone's wedding isn't the time for you to say what you really think about the bride or how she looks in the dress. Or maybe a funeral isn't the best time to let the family know that the deceased was actually a horrible person. There's a time and a place to say something, or just keep it to yourself. However, what we're talking about today is staying silent when something should be said, or sugarcoating everything you say just to make sure it's more palatable to others. That can be just as unkind as having no filter at all. And it can also leave you feeling like you are invisible and like your voice doesn't matter. However, staying silent when something should be said, or sugarcoating everything you say just to make it more palatable to others, can be just as unkind as having no filter at all. And it can also leave you feeling invisible or like your voice doesn't matter. The key is to really know the difference between being truly kind and superficially nice or polite. Kindness matters. Niceness, it depends. You can be nice without a bit of kindness. Here's what that looks like. Like when you act like you're best friends with someone and you really could not care less about that person. But you're going to be nice and polite just so others will like you more or so they won't know the bitterness you actually feel. Nice can be when you avoid telling someone the hard truth that they actually need to hear, like that their addiction is destroying them and their family, just because it may bother them or hurt their feelings. Niceness without kindness can also be when a truth needs to be said, those hard truths, and maybe you do try, but you coat it in so much honey and sugar that the point never actually gets across. Have you done that person any good whatsoever at that point? Nice is great if it's genuine and just as a general rule of thumb, but it's not the same as being loving or kind, and it's definitely not always needed. You know what nice does? Nice sees someone walking toward the edge of a cliff and very, very nicely and politely says, I think there might be something kind of dangerous over there. If you want to turn around, I think that might be a good idea, but, only if you think so too. Whatever you want to do is fine. Well, that's polite. But what's that going to do? It's going to watch that person pull a wile E. coyote right off the edge of that cliff. That's what it's going to do. Kindness? Kindness is when you see that same person about to go over the edge of the cliff and you sideline tackle them to the ground, bruises, broken bones, whatever it takes to save their life. Maybe they do get upset for a little while. They got their clothes dirty or their knees got scraped up. Okay. But the kindest, most loving thing to do is to save them if it is in your power to do so. Bruises and hurt feelings will heal. Not everything is that black and white. I get it. Those are really obvious examples. But you get my point. You can speak truth and act in truth while still being respectful and still say exactly what needs to be said. You shouldn't be so scared of rocking the boat or being politically incorrect that you don't speak truth. And we all do it. I do it constantly. Respectful honesty cares more about the truth and love toward the core of the other person than it does a momentary discomfort or a personal fear of not being liked. It's looking at the other person and seeing past their reactions, past their feelings, and straight to their actual need or what they really feel. We Southerners are especially very, very good at being sugary sweet that most of the time you don't really even know if someone's telling you the truth or not. Well, bless their heart can mean about a dozen different things, right? And usually it's either one extreme or the other. We're either really overly sweet or painfully outspoken. And neither extreme is kind. And neither extreme is authentic. Some of you may say, oh, Jesus wants us to be nice. Christians are supposed to be nice. Show me one place in Scripture where it says, thou shalt speak in syrupy sentences so no one gets offended. Show me how Peter or Paul were more concerned about the reactions of people than their hearts. Show me where Jesus backed out of giving his real thoughts, or better yet, hard truth, because someone might not like it being said out loud. No, what you do find is God saying, love your neighbor as yourself. You see men and women of the faith reach out and serve in kindness with truth on their tongues. You find verse after verse talking about kindness, love, honor, gentleness, lifting others up, but those are not the same thing as just being nice so as not to rock the boat. The Bible actually defines love to make it a little bit more clear, and I know you've heard it. It's said a lot of times at weddings, especially. In 1 Corinthians 13, it says love is patient, love is kind, love does not envy, is not boastful, is not arrogant, is not rude, is not self-seeking, is not irritable, and does not keep a record of wrongs. Love finds no joy in unrighteousness, but rejoices in the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. Now, you may say, see, it says right there, not to be rude. Let's break down what that actually means. 1 Corinthians, like the rest of the New Testament, was originally written in Koine Greek, where it says love is not rude, and y'all bear with me for the pronunciation on this. That Greek word, I think, is pronounced askimone. We're going to go with that. It means to act unbecomingly or to behave improperly, and it carries the sense of being rude, disrespectful, or lacking decorum. It's an outward action with the motive of being disrespectful. The term reflects behavior that disregards the feelings or sensitivities of others. And what this verse is saying is that love does not act in a way that is crude or inconsiderate to other people. You can say exactly what needs to be said. You can give your real opinion or beliefs about something without sugarcoating it or being purposefully harmful. It's the motive and the method that matter. In our society, we equate politeness with morality. In other words, it doesn't really matter what you do behind the scenes or what you feel as long as you're nice about it. Jesus 100% did not ascribe to this. He was always kind, and he didn't always feel the need to say things. He was wise and he had a filter, but he never sacrificed the truth for the sake of someone's opinion of it. Nowadays, people equate niceness and politeness with charm and even godliness, and nothing could be further from the truth. Let me give you an example. Have you ever met someone who was a wolf in sheep's clothing? This is the person who is one way behind closed doors, angry, lying, manipulative, vengeful, but is charming, smooth, and sweet as cinnamon butter as soon as someone else shows up. Is that godliness? Just because they're nice? Absolutely not. That's called wearing a mask. And Jesus was all about exposing the motives behind the masks. He was about the heart. Other people knew this about Jesus, and he apparently even made a name for himself with it. In Mark 12, Jesus is approached by various religious leaders, desperately trying to trap him in his words, right? Their intention was evil, but even they recognized his character. Mark says, "Then they sent some of the Pharisees and the Herodians to Jesus to trap him in his words. When they came, they said to him, 'Teacher, we know you are truthful and don't care what anyone thinks, nor do you show partiality, but teach the way of God truthfully.'" So even the ones that were trying to trap him started with the truth that they knew about him. He's truthful. He doesn't care what anyone thinks about him. He doesn't show partiality to people, but he teaches truthfully. And Jesus was kind at the same time. We are absolutely supposed to be loving, kind, and encouraging and uplifting, but never superficially in exchange for honesty, integrity, and the impartial teaching of God's word. In other words, no masks allowed. Let me show you what this means in a very light and easy example of how you can be more authentic with people and start training yourself to be comfortable and to be more real. When you go somewhere next, maybe even to church, and someone that you know asks how you're doing, be honest. We never are we? Maybe once in a blue moon we'll actually say what we're feeling. But we're used to the knee-jerk sentence, "How are you?" "Good." "How are you?" "I'm good." "All right, have a good day." Boom, that's it. Here's the thing, you don't have to give your life story or even details. Not everyone is a safe person, and that's okay. But this is about practicing being real, right? So especially at church, because it's supposed to be a safe zone, it's a great place to practice this. Someone asks you how you're doing, but you're actually really stressed out and anxious. Maybe instead of plastering on the mask and giving a fake, "I'm good, how are you?" you say something like, "I'm actually struggling a good bit today. I'm okay, but could you be praying for me? I'd really appreciate it." Word it however you want, but you see how that's different? You're still allowing the casual interaction to continue because maybe you don't have time for a bunch of details, or maybe they're not super close to you relationally. But what that does is it trains you to be honest with yourself and open with other people while still having a filter and showing respect for their time. Does that make your eye twitch just a little bit when you think about it? Could it be because it's being vulnerable? You're peeking out from behind the mask, and someone might see that you're not perfect or that you don't have it all together. Let me tell you something, neither do they. Maybe you're just worried you'll inconvenience them with your issues. Well, what if they need to practice reaching out to others, and God is trying to train them on being empathetic and loving? If that's the case, you may have just interrupted that process by not being honest. Let's do a harder one. Say you're in a meeting, and your voice does matter where you are. Maybe it's work, church, PTO, whatever. And the majority are voting on something that you just have a gut feeling isn't a good idea. Maybe it won't work, or maybe there's a much better way to do it. what do? Do you stay quiet because, well, other people should get to do what they want? Surely they know more than you do. I mean, you're just here warming a chair, right? Are you worried you'll look dumb if they don't agree with you, or they won't like you because you don't think like they do, or they'll get insulted and it'll be rude of you for saying something that maybe they didn't come up with or agree with? What if you really feel like it needs to be said and could help? You remember respectful honesty. Say something like, I really like these ideas. This may be something else to consider too. If we did X, Y, and Z here, then here are the things that it could do or help us avoid. I really feel like this could be a good way of handling the situation. What is your take on this? Maybe you don't get to decide the outcome, and that's okay. But do you see how that is still honoring their opinions as well as your own? And it's still being kind, even if you're saying something that's differing from somebody else? You can say your truth while being kind. It's not about getting your way. It's about practicing how to own what you believe while still maintaining kindness and not giving up truth and authenticity for what you think is the more polite option. These are just general examples, of course, and there are always other variables to consider. But I hope you get what I'm saying and you get the core of what I'm saying. It's a practice. You're training your brain that being respectfully honest is a safe space. Practice those little things that help train you toward living a life of authenticity. You can own how you feel and what you think and believe without being unkind. Again, having a filter is one thing, and it's needed. Of course, there are times to say something and not to say something a certain way, or to be kinder in our approach. But emotional and mental maturity come when we can tell the difference and still hold to honesty and authenticity. This world is dying for what's real. Look around. Everything is fake, everything is twisted, and it's exactly what the Bible says it will be, is that the bad will be called good, the good will be called bad, everything is backwards, people are confused, they're hurting, and they're placing faith in everything except the one person that can actually straighten things out. They can't handle reality, so they make up their own. Let me tell you, this world needs authentic believers to step up and be real, to be honest, to tell the truth in love, but still the truth, even when it's hard. They're not getting it from anywhere else. All they're getting is scenes from the Matrix, essentially. They need reality. We need to accept reality and then to learn how to cope with it. Listen, personality doesn't even matter here. You can have a very meek and quiet personality and be more reserved, and you can have one that's more outgoing and outspoken. Both are okay, and both are needed for balance in this world. The problem comes in when we operate from either end of that spectrum out of fear. Fear of others, fear of being vulnerable, fear that we'll be taken advantage of, or that we're not good enough and neither are our ideas. Maybe we're outspoken because we think we have to fight for that, or maybe we're very quiet because we're scared of what others will think. Both personalities can act out based on these things. The balance comes in, regardless of personality, when we are true to ourselves, true to God, and can still speak the truth in love to others, while still not really caring if others approve of it. That is one step closer to real godliness, and that is being truly kind to others. The world is suffering from a truth deficiency. We're not being kind to people by withholding that. We're not being kind by staying silent when a truth needs to be said. We're not being polite when we don't show how we really are, who we really are, because we're too busy painting everything perfect so that, I don't know, maybe we just look like we have everything all together. Everyone is tolerant or polite, and very few are willing to do the most kind thing they could possibly do, and that's care, truly care for the realities of other people, not just their sensitivities. We are not helping anyone by adding to false reality for the sake of political correctness or fake politeness. Live honestly, in confidence, and ditch the masks. Guys, we have got to ditch the masks. Most of us see through them anyway. Well, my soapbox is worn out for now. So make sure you hit subscribe and listen. Think of someone you may know who you can share this with, who may just need a little bit of extra encouragement. Maybe they are struggling with speaking truth or giving their genuine opinion on things. Maybe they've gone too many years being sugary sweet that they've lost what it actually means to be kind and authentic. Please share this with them, not in judgment, as encouragement, and just let them know you love them and that you want to know their authentic self too. So, that's all I have for today. Until next time, my friends, be real, keep moving forward, and if I don't see you on screen, then I'll see you in ink.